Random House Audio presents The Third Secret by Steve Berry. Read for you by L.J. Ganser. Fatima, Portugal, July 13th, 1917. Lucia stared toward heaven and watched the lady descend. The apparition came from the east, as it had twice before, emerging as a sparkling dot from deep within the cloudy sky. The lady stood upright, her crystallized image clothed in a glow that seemed more brilliant than the sun. Lucia lowered her eyes in response to the dazzling beauty. A crowd surrounded Lucia, unlike the first time the lady appeared 2 months before. Then it had been only Lucia, Jacinta, and Francisco in the fields, tending the family sheep. The people had started amassing yesterday, many coming from neighboring villages, some accompanied by crippled children they hoped the lady would cure. The prior of Fatima had proclaimed the apparition a fraud and urged all to stay away. The devil at work, he'd said. But the people had not listened. One parishioner even labeling the prior a fool, since the devil would never incite people to pray. A woman in the throng was shouting, calling Lucia and her cousins impostors, swearing God would avenge their sacrilege. Manuel Marto, Lucia's uncle, and Jacinta and Francisco's father, stood behind them, and Lucia heard him admonish the woman to be silent. He commanded respect in the valley as a man who'd seen more of the world than the surrounding Serra da Aire. Lucia derived comfort from his keen brown eyes and quiet manner. It was good he was nearby, there among the strangers. She tried not to concentrate on any of the words being screamed her way, and blocked from her mind the scent of mint, the aroma of pine, and the pungent fragrance of wild rosemary. Her thoughts, and now her eyes, were on the lady floating before her. Only Lucia, Jacinta, and Francisco could see the lady, but only she and Jacinta could hear the words. Lucia thought that strange, why Francisco should be denied. But during her first visit, the lady had made it clear that Francisco would go to heaven only after saying many rosaries. A breeze drifted across the checkered landscape of the great hollow basin known as Cova da Iria. The land was littered with olive trees and patches of evergreens. The grass grew tall and made excellent hay, and the soil yielded potatoes, cabbage, and corn. The sky dimmed, and umbrellas used by the crowd for shade started to close. Lucia stood and yelled, "Take off your hats, for I see Our Lady!" The men immediately obeyed, some crossing themselves, as if to be forgiven for their rude behavior. She turned back to the vision and knelt. "Vos amese que me quere?" she asked. "What do you want of me?" "Do not offend the Lord our God any more, because he is already much offended. I want you to come here on the 13th day of the coming month, and to continue to say 5 decades of the Rosary every day in honor of Our Lady of the Rosary, to obtain the peace of the world and the end of the war, for she alone will be able to help." Lucia stared hard at the lady. The form was transparent, in varied hues of yellow, white, and blue. The face was beautiful, but strangely shaded in sorrow. A dress fell to her ankles, a veil covered her head. A rosary resembling pearls intertwined folded hands. Lucia mustered her courage and said, "I wish to ask you to tell us who you are, and to perform a miracle so that everyone will believe that you have appeared to us. Continue to come here every month on this day. In October, I will tell you who I am and what I wish, and I will perform a miracle that everyone will have to believe. Sacrifice yourselves for sinners," the lady continued, "and say many times, especially when you make some sacrifice, 'Oh, Jesus, it is for your love, for the conversion of sinners, and in reparation for the sins committed against the Immaculate Heart of Mary." The lady opened her clasped hands and spread her arms. A penetrating radiance poured forth and bathed Lucia in a warmth much like that of a winter's sun on a cool day. She embraced the feeling, then saw that the radiance did not stop at her and her two cousins. Instead, it passed through the earth, and the ground opened. This was new and different, and it frightened her. A sea of fire spread before her in a magnificent vision. Within the flames, blackened forms appeared, like chunks of beef swirling in a boiling soup. They were human in shape, though no features or faces were distinguishable. They popped from the fire, then quickly descended, their bobbing accompanied by shrieks and groans so sorrowful that a shudder of fear crept down Lucia's spine. "You see hell, where the souls of poor sinners go," the lady said. "To save them, God wishes to establish in the world the devotion to my Immaculate Heart. If they do what I will tell you, many souls will be saved, and there will be peace. The war is going to end, but if they do not stop offending God, another and worse one will begin in the reign of Pius XI." The vision of hell disappeared, and the warm light retreated back into the lady's folded hands. "When you shall see a night illuminated by an unknown light, know that it is the great sign that God gives you that he is going to punish the world for its crimes by means of war, hunger, and persecution of the Church and the Holy Father." Lucia was disturbed by the lady's words. She knew that a war had raged across Europe for the past several years. Men from villages had gone off to fight, many never returning. She'd heard the sorrow of the families in church. Now she was being told a way to end that suffering. "To prevent this," the lady said, "I come to ask the consecration of Russia to my Immaculate Heart and the communion of reparation on the first Saturdays. If they listen to my requests, Russia will be converted and there will be peace. If not, she will scatter her errors through the world, provoking wars and persecutions of the Church. The good will be martyred. The Holy Father will have much to suffer. Various nations will be annihilated. In the end, my Immaculate Heart will triumph. The Holy Father will consecrate Russia to me, and it will be converted, and a certain period of peace will be granted to the world." Lucia wondered what Russia was. Her world was the village of Fatima, where her family lived. "I have more to tell you," the lady said. When the third message was completed, the lady said, "Tell this to no one, as yet." "Not even Francisco?" Lucia asked. "You may tell him." A long moment of silence followed. Lucia sucked in a deep breath and asked, "Do you want nothing more of me?" "Today I want nothing more of you." The lady began to rise into the eastern sky. Something that sounded like thunder rumbled past overhead. Lucia stood. She was shaking. "There she goes!" she cried, pointing to the sky. The crowd sensed that the vision was over and started to press inward. "What did she say? Will she come again?" The push of people toward the holm oak became intense, and a sudden fear swept through Lucia. She blurted out, "It's a secret! It's a secret!" Vatican City, Wednesday, November 8th, the present, 6:15 a.m. Monsignor Colin Mitchener heard the sound again and closed the book. Somebody was there. He knew it. Like before. He stood from the reading desk and stared around at the array of Baroque shelves. The cavernous room carried an aura, a mystique bred in part by its label, L'Archivio Segreto Vaticano, the secret archives of the Vatican. He'd always thought that name strange, since little contained within the volumes.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?